Alright guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a scribble ball. You will need a motor mounting bracket holder, a battery holder case, an on-off switch, 2 AA batteries, glue sticks, a cup, an X-Acto knife, a push pin or thumbtack, markers, thinner regular markers will work well, and a hot glue gun. So first we're going to get started with the cup. Then go ahead and grab your motor and make sure you just slide the motor into the bracket and this will hold it in place. When you know where you want to place it, you're going to use a hot glue gun and you're going to place it on the edge. Now go ahead and grab a glue stick and we're going to cut it. Depending on how much you want your scribble bot to move, depends on where you place your glue stick. The glue stick that we're going to be using is going to be used as a weight. If you offset the weight, the scribble bot will wobble it a little more and will be able to scribble in a wider range. The less it wobbles, the less space it's going to cover. So if you want it to be sturdier, you put it more to the center. If you want it to wobble around more and move around a bit more, you can put it off-centered. I suggest putting it off-center as it will move around more. Once you know where you want the glue stick to be placed, go ahead and cut it off a piece. We don't need it to be that long. We just need it to be about half the stick or less. Now go ahead and grab your thumbtack or push pin and you're going to make a hole in the glue stick. The reason you make a hole is because the motor has a part that sticks out where the glue stick will be inserted. This part is a bit difficult for some, so take your time, be aware of where your fingers are and make sure not to poke yourself. Move around the thumbtack in order to widen the hole. If it's not enough, go ahead and grab some scissors and that should be able to help you round out the inside of the glue stick. Once you've seen that the hole that you made in the glue stick is big enough for the motor, you're going to go ahead and grab your motor and the bracket and you're going to place it in. Then once you've placed the motor in the bracket, you're going to put the glue stick onto the motor, making sure it's securely placed onto the motor. You need to be careful when placing the weight onto the motor because if it's not done carefully, it will fly off. Now that we have the glue stick placed onto the motor, we're going to glue it down to the cup. Place some glue along the bottom of the bracket of the motor. Once you have enough glue on there, place it along the side, ensuring that the glue stick has enough room to move around. Our next step will be placing the battery pack. The battery pack, you can place it along the side wherever you choose, but I suggest placing it behind the motor in order to give it some balance. Once you know where you want to place your battery pack, go ahead and use the hot glue gun and place some glue along the back of the battery pack. Then place the battery pack wherever you want it placed. Once you have your battery pack placed, then we're going to move on to the switch. For this part, we're going to be needing the X-Acto knife. So in order for us to get the exact placement of where we need to make a hole for the switch, we're going to be using the thumbtack in order to use it to scratch the surface of where the switch starts and ends. This will help us when we're using the X-Acto knife. Now using the lines you created with the push pin, you're going to use the X-Acto knife and you're going to be very careful and push into the cup and slowly take the X-Acto knife out, making sure you hold on to the X-Acto knife tight so that it doesn't fly out of your hand. And there you go, there are your lines. And the little safety tip, every time you use an X-Acto knife, make sure you put the cap back on, just in case someone decides to put their hands down or you forget that it's there. Once we've made sure that the lines for the switch fit, we're going to move on to the motor and the wires. So first we're going to connect the black wire to the motor, because this one will be the simplest one to connect. It's just the battery pack to the motor. Now we're going to connect the red one. This one is a bit tricky because this one needs to connect to the switch. In order to connect it to the switch, what we need to do is we're going to cut the red wire in half. And once you've done that, you need to expose the cable underneath. So make sure you don't cut into the wire too much. This is just so that we can cut deep enough so we can pull away the plastic protective layer. You don't even have to use the scissors all the way. What I like to do is I trace the outside of the cable protective layer, and once I know that I've gone far enough, I use my nails and I pull it off. You'll need to expose the wire of all 4 sides. Once you've done that, now you can go ahead and move along and connect one of the cable to the motor. And then on one side of the switch, you're going to connect the red cable that's connected to the motor. And the other cable that's connected to the battery pack will be connected to the other side of the switch. Once both have been connected and the switch has been pushed into the cuts we've made earlier with the X-Acto knife, now it's time to glue it all down using your hot glue gun. Now that you have it all glued down, it's time to test it out. So go ahead and grab your AA batteries and place them in the battery holder. And once you've done that, go ahead and turn it on and see how it works. See if you like the way it moves. Do you think it moves enough or should it move less? It's all up to you. Remember, you can change the way it moves by moving the placement of the weight, which is your glue stick. You can make another hole and move it either further to the side or more to the center. Once you're done with that, go ahead and grab all your markers that you plan on using and decide where you want to place them along the cup. Once you've decided, go ahead and glue them using a hot glue gun to the actual cup. Once you have all the markers glued down, you're done and all set to go. Just make sure you really like the way you position them, and make sure when you position them that you're thinking about balancing out the weights. Now that all the markers have been glued down, we can turn it on.